Futures now, old man.
What it do? Future First Podcast coming in with an emergency drop. We got free agency. The legal tampering period opened up today. A lot of news dropped. So Jose hit me up. He's like, "Hey man, you got time for an emergency pod?" Yeah, I got time to pod. Let's go. I got lots of thoughts. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm good, man. Bam. We're sneaking one in here on you guys, like late, kind of just throwing one extra pot at you guys. But yeah, I mean, free agency was kicking off and it was hot and heavy right from the start. So I figured, hey, why not? We planned to do something for Sunday covering it, and we might be still we'll hit kind of the remainder guys and maybe a little bit more in depth. But we just wanted to get you guys some content out here as things are happening in the league. So yeah, just a little bonus episode for you guys.
All right, we're gonna try and keep this short. So let's cram in as much as we can here. You want to just start at the top with some quarterbacks and work our way down, running back, wide receiver? Is there a place you want to start specifically?
Yeah, I think we could just kind of go position by position. I mean, quarterbacks and tight ends are kind of the driest spot. But I mean, the biggest prize was Malik Willis, who went to the Dolphins. Pretty excited for Waddle. I think this is way better than I think I was expecting, which is kind of either Tua to stay or one of these retread guys. So I'm pretty excited about Malik Willis going there for him and Achan. So how did you feel about that? I mean,
I was a little underwhelmed, I guess, by the contract, considering, the rumors were him getting closer to 30. So, he's about what, 22 and a half annual average, but he got 45 guaranteed, which is pretty great. And 3 years on top of that. I don't know. Like, I get it. Like, the Dolphins need a quarterback. I'm still not bought in on Malik Willis here. Like, I guess I'm still a little suspect of how much he'll give that offense and where they'll land for fantasy weapons here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think of it, but it sounds like you're excited for Achan and Waddle, huh?
yeah, I'm more excited just for the fact that I thought it was going to be pretty devastating for fantasy, and especially for being a guy that's pretty up on Waddle. We've
Yeah, that's fair.
talked him up. I thought it was going to be, or Russ, maybe one of these backup guys, like something pretty devastating, or Tua staying. I'm not a really big fan of what Tua brings to the table. So with the new coaching staff, all that stuff, it just felt like it could be really bad. So I think this is maybe best case scenario, somewhat like that. So, kind of. And then kind of speaking of Tua, he's kind of the only other quarterback I think that we've gotten news of. He signed pretty much vet minimum with to go be the backup starter, compete with Penix. Who knows exactly what's happened there? I mean, I don't think either of those quarterbacks is super exciting for fantasy to start for Drake London and Bijan. I don't know how you feel about it. I mean, Penix was pretty decent with London when he was healthy. I'm just not sure how many games he will be able to play. Michael Penix, that is.
Yeah, I mean, that one hasn't officially gone through yet, right? Because we have to wait for Monday or Wednesday for that one.
Cut and yeah.
Yeah, I guess how I feel about it. What's better than one hurt left-handed quarterback? Two of them.
Yeah, the memes have been good. That one's created a lot of juicy, good memes today. So that was pretty good. I mean, it's just wild. I mean, you look at the contracts and you got the Dolphins are paying two top, 15, 20, I think, quarterbacks. You got the Falcons who are going to be paying three different quarterbacks with Kirk Cousins still there. It's some interesting stuff there. But yeah, man, I think that's pretty much all the quarterbacks. Was there another one that you thought about?
No, I guess just some unsigned notables. Rodgers is still out there. Flacco, Russ. I mean, not that any of those guys have been generating a ton of interest. Kyler Murray still.
Yeah, I think he's the biggest kind of domino left, I guess.
Yeah. I think we're expecting the Vikings, but I guess who knows.
All right. Yeah, let's get into the juicy stuff, man. The guys we were kind of been talking about all offseason. And we kind of undershot. We kind of all thought these guys would be getting 8 to 10, 11, and most of these running backs all signed for much bigger contracts. So which one, who do you want to talk about first? I feel like
let's start.
Guy.
Yeah, let's start. Let's go from top down, right? Kenneth Walker the third to the Chiefs, 3 years, $43 million. He's getting 14.4 million on average a year, and then 28.7 guaranteed. That was kind of the shocking number for me, was the guaranteed money here on the 3 year deal. But I bet you anything that's just what it took to get him. I mean, he was the hottest running back on the market, and the Chiefs wanted him, so they spent up and got him. I think it's great for the Chiefs. We'll see how it plays out though. If Kenneth Walker is who we think he is, finishing up the year, I think that I'm still suspect. But I mean, the scheme was great for him in the Seahawks. Maybe Bieniemy can draw up something similar for him in the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs. I'm not super worried about it that he won't find his way, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's pretty much the guy with the most guaranteed contract money besides Saquon. I think when I was looking at it, he's above Henry, and he's quite a bit short of Saquon, but he's got more than McCaffrey, got more than Jonathan Taylor, James Cook. Actually, I'm sorry, James Cook's here at 30, so he's third behind guaranteed money. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I think hopefully one big thing that I was thinking, and I mean, it definitely should stop the train for Jeremiah Love to the Chiefs, which is a little sad. But I think the thing with Kenneth Walker that I've always felt is like, can he just stay healthy, right? Like this was the season where he played the most games, played 17 games. I don't think he really missed much time at all, and didn't have very many injury concerns. Maybe that was due to splitting so much time with Charbonnet, but I'm pretty excited. I think the hype is now, though. If you were not a true Kenneth Walker believer, I mean, some people's rankings are coming out and he's like a top 6 running back. Like if there's people that believe in Kenneth Walker to that extent, I'm definitely trying to sell him for whatever I can. But I'm also not in a hurry to sell. Like I think it could definitely be very good for Kenneth Walker. It's not one of those things that he's a screaming sell candidate just because his stock is up. But I do think this is probably the highest that it will ever be. Probably ever, right? Like I don't see much more for him. I don't think he has like top 5 running back finishing possibility.
Right.
I me personally, so I don't think his stock can go much higher.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I mean, it's not out of the question that they add someone else in the draft. But I mean, as we know, there's not a lot of threats in the draft to the Chiefs here. But the Chiefs have been kind of weird, when they spread things around sometimes. So I don't really know what to make of the situation. I think I would sell high if I had Kenneth Walker, but that's just me doubting him forever. That's just how I do things, I
Yeah,
guess.
I mean, I can understand that. I mean, he's not. I think a lot of people kind of wiped away or looking through it through rose tinted glasses. How he
Right.
finished the Super Bowl MVP. I mean, people were pretty frustrated with Kenneth Walker pretty much through a lot of his career, thinking like he's a special player, but can he stay healthy? He's sometimes always looking for the big play. So I mean, all those things are still a concern, right? But the big money, it seems like they want to make
It's
him a
there.
focal point.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to follow the money a bit there. I mean, and this may be something we can get more into on Sunday, but what do you make of the Seattle backfield? Do you think now they're in contention for one of these running backs or adding? Because I mean, Zach Charbonnet, I can't think he's projecting to be ready for the start of the season after how late he tore his ACL. So, do you think they're running out there with one of their backups, or are you thinking maybe one of these other unsigned guys, or just a draft for them?
I mean, they need depth, right? If for whatever reason, the backup George Halani is out on waivers, you should go stash him and put him
Right.
on your bench if you have a spot. But there's still guys out there that they can add, right? I mean, they can go add a super old vet. I mean, Nick Chubb is out there, Joe Mixon, Najee, Aaron Jones. Like any one of those guys are still available that I feel like would be a great fit. They get some use out of them early in the season. Charbonnet comes back and they're good to go. But I mean, even then, there's still other guys out there. Like I think Rashad White is still out there. Pacheco is another one. I thought Rico Dowdle would have been a really good fit all the way up until he got signed to the Steelers, which is something that we'll have to get into there. So, yeah, I I don't really know. I think they'll add some depth there, and if they don't address in free agency, I expect them to draft one.
100%. All right, the next guy we had on the list, what is it? ETN here.
Yeah, let's do it. That's who I wanted to go to the Chiefs, but the Saints is. I think it's a good fit. I like Kellen Moore, and he seems to get the most out of his offensive pieces, especially with the scheme that they have going there. So I think we got lackluster performances last year out of their running backs with Kamara and Kendre Miller. I mean, there was a myriad of running backs that were back there. So I like Travis Etienne in that fit. I'm still skeptical on Tyler Shuck. And, is he going to be the game manager that everyone's hoping he can be? I feel like that's going to hinge a lot on what Travis Etienne can do in that backfield. But I'm trying to buy because, right now his value is like a late first. And if I can go get him for if I'm a contender and I have a 2027 first still, like I'm trying to send that for ETN right now. Full transparency.
Yeah, 100%. I would much rather have ETN than a back half of the draft first round pick. I don't hate it. The Saints are an offense who I think are going to be decent. So it's not horrible. He's a decent player. It does beg the question, how much is Alvin Kamara going to be involved? Because unless he decides to retire, it's kind of funny in terms of contract. Like him and Kamara have a very similar in terms of what's left on their contract and guaranteed. So it's pretty interesting. I like Etienne. I definitely like Kenneth Walker in terms of these two guys more, but he's definitely the cheaper option, right? Like I don't think anybody's trading a 111, 110 for Kenneth Walker straight up. So that's definitely a trade that I would be spamming out there if I had that pick and wanted a running back.
Yeah, I think it's the age that's suppressing that value too. So just be wary of what you're buying. You're buying a 27-year-old running back.
Right.
So just know what you're getting, and if you're a contender, it's a buy. But if otherwise, I would probably fade that. All right, the next guy here, another Kenneth Gainwell, going to the Bucks. He got a lot more than I expected him to get. He got $14 million on a 2-year deal, so $7 million annually. That's not backup money. So to me, Bucky has had trouble staying healthy, and they've talked about having a running backfield mate for him. I think that's what Gainwell is. And like I could see this being a 50-50 split, maybe, at worst like a 60-40 split for Bucky, but this is not a good signal for Bucky in my opinion.
Yeah, you were hoping that with Rachaad White going to free agency that, they'd kind of be putting more eggs in his basket. But yeah, I think the injury concerns, and let's not forget Bucky was, although he's a draft darling and in terms of fantasy, he was a late pick, right? There's not that much tied into him. So I think this just screams Rachaad White replacement / backfield split with Bucky, right? I think Bucky will still be the lead guy, but I think if you were hoping for a workhorse type of workload for Bucky, you're definitely not going to be getting that now. And I think it was exciting for a second if you were a oh my goodness, I just blanked on the Steelers running back.
James Conner? No, not James Conner. Jaylen Warren.
Jaylen Warren, right? You were like, oh, okay, and then right, that kind of quickly got
squashed,
dispelled, because Rico Dowdle's there. So I think that's just nasty. I'm not really sure. Rico Dowdle's money, I think, was also pretty not just backup money that he got. I think
I don't know the details on that, but it's not great, especially for Caleb Johnson, right? This is like a death knell. For Caleb Johnson.
So 2 years, $12.25 million for Rico. So again, that's about $6 million a year. That's
Tyler Algier money, right? That's exactly what he got.
Yeah. So I think it just kind of muddies the waters there too, right? I think it's a good handcuff, a good backup player to have the roster. I do think it'll be interesting because this is the new regime adding this player, and Jaylen Warren was the old regime, so who knows? Rico Dowdle may be the A over Warren, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, we quickly talked about Tyler Algier getting the 2 years, $12.25 million to the Cardinals. That's another muddy backfield, as I think we talked about yesterday. But James Conner taking the demotion, which I don't know if we found the numbers on, but I want to say he dropped quite a bit of money. I think he went to like from 10 million to like 2 million or something like that. Like I said, I thought that was a bad signal. And now they bring in Tyler Algier. I think Tyler Algier is my favorite in the backfield. I think this is really bad for Trey Benson. I think that he's the one that gets the cut of the three in that backfield. So if I have Tyler Algier, I'm holding. If I don't have him, I don't really feel like buying. I think the Cardinals are going to be really bad this year.
Yeah, I mean, from what it sounds like, they're just kind of rolling back what they did last year. All reports say that it's going to be Brisket coming back. So, I mean, in terms of an offense, what they were able to produce, it should be, I don't know, somewhat similar. I mean, maybe there's more film on Brisket, so they're not as able to do as much. But the offense, for the most part, staying the same. I'm actually definitely somewhat interested, especially in such a um, I think lacking in depth rookie class. Like, if can I get a Algier for a third in
Hmm.
some other little piece, a third and a fourth, or I'm swinging that as a contender and needing running back help. This is the type of moves that you make now, and you're risking a third and a fourth, which to me is not very much, right? On our podcast yesterday, we talked about the type of players that you're swinging on there, and there's definitely, if you're a rebuilder, reasons why you'd rather have one of them. But these are the type of guys that like a Javonte Williams type, where in the offseason it doesn't really seem, oh, who's the guy, and then all of a sudden Tyler Algier is just the guy and he's the one. I think he's shown when he's gotten the workload. When the year before Bijan arrived, he was 1,000-yard carrier and looked like a good NFL running back. So I'm willing to take that sort of swing on Algier, and just by week 4, all of a sudden I found myself, I have an extra starting running back, more so than whatever I'm going to get at the third and fourth round of a rookie draft.
That's a good point. Maybe I'll have to revisit this and see how I feel about him. Yeah. Okay, let's keep moving though. J.K.
Yep.
Dobbins got a 2-year re-sign. I think I heard it was 20 million for the 2 years. Uh,
Yep.
maybe yeah, 20
16
million.
million base, 8 million guaranteed.
So he got guaranteed money, which is not common for these running backs.
Yeah.
So that's good news for Dobbins, and I mean that makes sense that he got about that money because they Broncos were rumored to be in talks with Walker and ETN, and they both went for 13, 14 million. So it sounds like they wanted to spend around 10 million on average, and that's what they signed J.K. Dobbins to. So I mean, hey, this is great news for Dobbins. His value is super depressed right now. It was like a third, and I think that's way too low. I'd go spend a second on him right now if I could, if I'm contending, and I think that value is probably not enough to get it done on most teams. I think it's going to be a late first. Is probably the price that people are going to be looking for.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I feel like if I have Dobbins, I'm selling for a late first easily, to be honest. I think a second makes a little bit more sense, but hey, you never know, right? Like, some people, Dobbins has been injured a lot. Maybe they don't think they have much, and you send a couple thirds, or a second and third swap, something else. I definitely would swing on it, just like Tyler Algier. Those are the type of running backs that can really help your running back room down the stretch if Dobbins can stay healthy. I don't think it's great for RJ Harvey. I mean, when Dobbins was healthy, Harvey was not very much involved. So, I don't know if that means that they're going to try to split it more so Dobbins can stay healthy. But, I think this was the shoe that people were waiting to drop, that either Dobbins or somebody else was going to get signed there for RJ Harvey, which, I mean, that's how Payne, runs his team. So it isn't also that surprising. I mean, some of the names that I think we're still waiting for are kind of old guys that I don't know if any of these guys are exciting, like Mixon, no. Najee, no. Chubb, no. Rashad White, I mean, like in a full PPR, maybe he's a decent like flex guy or a guy, to have to play. Pacheco, not really.
Yeah, none of them are super inspiring. Although to be honest, like I wasn't all that jazzed for Kenneth Gainwell, or you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
he got decent money. And just going back to the Broncos backfield, like I thought it was like a net neutral for RJ Harvey. Honestly, probably like the best case scenario. We would have felt a lot worse about him if Kenneth Walker or ETN landed there. At least we know he'll be involved, albeit, like a 1B kind of role. So I don't know. Uh, maybe I'm coping.
No,
All right.
yeah. I mean, it's just somewhat of the similar situation. You hope, as he progresses, he gets a little bit more run.
All right. let's go into the wide receivers here. We got Alec Pierce headlining the wide receivers with a 4-year extension with the Colts, or I guess just re-signing for 114 million. Good God, we were talking about it yesterday, and I was shocked at the money that was rumored going to him at 28 and a half annual and 84 guaranteed. I don't know. Like, sure, the Colts make sense. I'm happy that he got to stay there. I can't buy into that contract. That seems like crazy money to me.
Yeah, I mean, he is. Well, let me look at this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 10th highest paid player. If you're looking at AV, per year, right? He's making as much as Terry McLaurin, as much as your boy Brandon Ayuk, right under him, and just a little bit under Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Like the total amount of contract, because it's not as many years as some of these elite guys, isn't that much. But I mean, I think it's crazy. I also think that this is like my least favorite scenario, where he goes back to a team who I don't even know who the quarterback is. Is it Daniel Jones coming off a torn Achilles? Is it, who is it? So it's not great. I was hoping to see maybe Alec Pierce, like we were talking about on our podcast yesterday, more with like a wide receiver one, and he could kind of be the Robin to that situation. So I don't personally love it. Him going back there. There's also a lot of rumors that other teams were willing to offer him more money, and he just wanted to go back to the Colts, which is crazy. I mean, supposedly the Patriots were at like the 30 million, and he decided he wanted to go back, which is, I mean, that's a decision to make. I mean, it's not like, between 28 and a half and 30 million to a millionaire. I guess that's not a lot. Maybe he's just more comfortable there, but I don't particularly love it. Like, I wasn't super excited for Alec Pierce to headline the wide receiver class, and the fact that he went back to the Colts is pretty uninspiring for me personally.
I guess it's a known situation for me, and I guess like I'm more like knowing what I'm getting, I feel better about buying into it. I don't know, and we didn't talk about the other side of this, where the Colts traded away Michael Pittman to the Steelers, and then the Steelers extended Michael Pittman for like 3 years. Oh man, what was it? I have it up here. 3 years for $59 million. So an annual of about 20 million. That's a wild wide receiver room over there. Pittman and DK, and then you're going to have old man Aaron Rodgers tossing the rock around. But I guess on the other side, going back to the Colts, like, this is good for Josh Downs, right? I mean, it's Tyler Warren, Alec Pierce, and Josh Downs now. I think this is the sell window on Josh Downs, though. Like, I have always kind of stood fast on whenever the hype for Josh Downs gets up there, and I'm like, no, I'm holding him. He's good. He's good. I'm getting out. If someone wants to give me a second for him, see ya.
Yeah, I mean, he was not somebody who I was particularly ever on really the hype train. I know he's got a little cult following of fantasy people that are kind of waiting for him to break out. Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. It's somewhat whatever. I mean, the Colts to me are kind of whatever. I mean, we were kind of seeing the wheels fall off with Daniel Jones there towards those last few games before he got injured, although he was also playing with a different injury. So I don't know. I don't know really what to make of the Colts, but we can move on. You want to hit up your man,
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans.
3 years. 3 years? Yay. I'm happy that Mike Evans is on the team. I'm a little skeptical of the contract. 3 years, 60 million, 20 annual on average, 16.3 guaranteed. Mike Evans is going to be a great fit. We needed a target hog on this offense, and he's going to fit right into that. Brock Purdy will be able to toss the rock to him, and I don't know. I'll buy in on Mike Evans. I don't know what the price is. I assume it's probably going to be around a 2, but maybe less. Maybe it's like a third, but he got a 3-year contract. So I feel like a 2 is probably going to be a fair price to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I would pay a second as a contender. I think, like, as we've been talking about, this draft class is not wowing us. I mean, and honestly, when you look at it, you might say, oh, 3 years for that. It doesn't, like, we're talking about fantasy points at the end of the day. Like, teams wanting to pay a guy that's going to be 30 something, that's their business. But even with the money guaranteed, I think he got the least of the guys we're going to talk about guaranteed. Yeah. And I mean, let's say health for everybody, all the players that we're going to talk about, I think it'd be easy to bet that Mike Evans has the best fantasy football season next year, right? I mean, no matter his age, unless you think he's completely lost it, but from what we saw last year, it didn't seem like that was. I think he has a better year than Wandale, a better year than Pierce. definitely than Jalen Naylor, and definitely better than Rashid Shaheed, who are kind of the big names that we're going to talk about. Not to jump the shark here, but yeah, I mean, I'm in on Mike Evans. I had him on a lot of competing teams, and he, unfortunately didn't help very much the last year. But with Purdy in that Shanahan system, I mean, there's literally nobody else competing for targets. Ricky Pearsall, who can never stay healthy, and I don't even know who the third wide receiver is. It's not Kittle because he's hurt too. So, McCaffrey, I guess, really would
It
be
would have
the wide
been
receiver 3.
it would have been Juwan, but he's a free agent.
Exactly.
So
So,
yeah,
yeah,
it's Kendrick Bourne, got
yeah,
signed to the Cardinals. So I don't know. How do you feel about Wan'Dale Robinson going to the Titans for 4 years, $78 million?
not super excited, man. I mean, like I liked Wandale. I think especially in PPR, right? That's kind of his thing. Cam Ward didn't inspire me that he's going to be able to complete 95 passes to Wandale, even but hopefully the scheme, Dable knows his guys. So
That's what I was
maybe
gonna
that's
say.
that's kind of the positive there. Is right. You got a coach went out, spend a decent amount of money. I mean, almost the same per year for as Mike Evans, right? It was a 4-year, 78 million. So the second most amount of money out there, 38, I think, million guaranteed. So it's not a bad contract. I mean, I think right now he would project to be the number one, unless they draft somebody or they do something else. So hopefully he that's the job Dable wanted. He wanted there. He set up his staff. Now he's bringing his players. So it's not a horrible situation, but I was really hoping he'd go somewhere. I don't know where, but the Titans is just not the most inspiring. But the Commanders, who we talked a lot about, it's surprising that they didn't land any of these guys who they were supposedly in play for running backs and wide receivers, and they didn't land anybody. So a sneaky little winner here maybe is Terry McLaurin, and whoever you think the starting running back there is, at least for now. Maybe that's a note to maybe talk more about on Sunday's episode, but or Saturday's episode, wherever you guys see it Monday, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, how did you feel about it with the Titans?
Yeah, I like that it was, like you said, back to the Dable offense. I think he has a vision for him, and I think Wandale is going to be super friendly to Cam Newton. Just a really great route runner in the short and intermediate field, and can get open and make it easier on Cam Newton to get the ball out. It makes sense. And yeah, I think
Cam Newton?
Sorry, Cam
I
Ward.
was like, dang, he's coming back. He's taking a job.
He's
Like,
back,
let's go,
baby.
Cam Newton. I'm back. No, yeah. No, it's funny. No,
No,
yeah, for Cam Ward, I got you.
And yeah, you're right. Like it does feel like maybe they do add another piece in the draft. Like I would like to see one of these top wide receivers go there to be the more explosive player. So I guess we'll wait and see there. But of the rest of these, let's just kind of burn through these real quick. Jalen Naylor, 3 years, $35 million to the Raiders. Rashid Shaheed back to the Seahawks for 3 years, $51 million. I don't know. Jalen Naylor was very uninspiring for the Raiders. I did not have that one on my bingo card, and it just feels like, why?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he'll be more inspiring from the Raiders coming from the Vikings, but yeah, I mean, it feels just like the Raiders had a ton of money. I mean, they signed a ton of players. The top 2 linebackers, I mean, they splashed. They went hard and hoping to really rebuild their team quickly with Mendoza and Genti, and all these players that they signed. So neither of those guys are really exciting. Shaheed, if you got like return yards, maybe also. Or in best ball leagues, pretty much only. I think he demonstrated he can have those pop-off games. I think this is great news for JSN. This is the type we've seen what Rashid Shaheed does with JSN, so it doesn't worry me at all, for JSN. But yeah, I mean, did you want to move on and talk about? Did we have very much tight end news? I guess we had a couple.
We did. Yeah, Isaiah Likely to the Giants, 3 years, $40 million. Hey, I mean, he got paid. He's like a top 7 tight end now. I don't hate it. It's kind of bad for Theo Johnson, unfortunately, but maybe they're both involved. I mean, if we're talking about Harbaugh here, it wasn't like Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely were exclusive, one or the other on the field. So it definitely does put a damper on Theo Johnson in my eyes, especially since he wasn't Harbaugh's guy. Harbaugh bringing in his guy. I like Likely. He's one of my most rostered players, so I'm pretty stoked about that one.
Yeah, not bad there. Somewhat neutral on that. We'll kind of wait
I'm
and see.
I think it's sneaky to buy into Mark Andrews now, right? Because the other tight end, Charlie Kohler, went to the Chargers, I think. So now Mark
Yeah.
Andrews is all alone.
Yeah, that screams that it's a deep tight end class, and they're probably going to be looking at a day three, maybe late day two tight end to pick up. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah, but I mean, Mark Andrews is a low key, sneaky winner. Another old dude, Travis Kelsey coming back to the Chiefs one more year. I'm still in. I don't know what Rice's situation is going to be, but no matter the case, I mean, Rice was playing and Kelsey was still good. Kelsey was still
Yeah.
Kelsey, basically. I mean, I think as long as he's with Mahomes and with Andy Reid, I'm in on Kelsey as a contender. At this point, you know what you have. You know you're just kind of waiting for him to retire. And every offseason that you get these news, it's great news. I mean, he's been a top six tight end since 10 years. His worst finish was six. Every other year, he's either one, two, or three. I don't know why he gets so much hate. I don't know if it's like exterior things, but for fantasy, it's Travis Kelsey, and you just ride with it. Like you wait. Now he's on your roster. You're probably not trading him. Maybe with this news, you can sell him to a contender. But if you were rostering him as not a contender, I really don't know what's going on. But I think he's a great piece. If you're doing a startup and you miss, you hit Travis Kelsey, and maybe then you hit one of these rookie tight ends later to be your backup plan. I don't hate that, or just right into it if you miss one of the top end tight ends, because I feel like he's not a guy that anybody's really wanting to pick in startups, especially because it's pretty much a year to year rental here. So I love it because I have a decent amount of Kelsey in a
Yeah.
few teams where I'm continuing. So we'll just run it back one more year.
Let's go. Yeah, I'm with you. I like too that he's got incentives on the contract. Not that he needs it when his incentive is his girlfriend, or sorry,
Wife,
fiance,
wife.
right? Are they,
But
or I don't know.
I
Are they
don't know if the
married?
wife have it. Whatever,
I
something.
don't.
There's
I
something
don't
there.
keep tabs on them.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
booze.
yeah.
All right, the unsigned notables, we got Njoku, Jonnu Smith, and Dallas Goddard still kind of out there waiting to see where they'll land in the upcoming days. I guess sneaky winners here. We already talked about Josh Downs, Mark Andrews. I put Charbonnet down here because Seattle hasn't added anyone yet, but I do expect them to. But so far, Charbonnet seemed like a sneaky add, especially since his value is depressed because of the injury.
Right.
And then I put down Jalen McMillan. Mike Evans leaving. They added no other wide receiver in free agency. I think the hype on Egbuka is overshadowing Jalen McMillan too. So I think he could be a really sneaky add. When Jalen McMillan did come back, he was being over targeting Egbuka, or I guess let's just say outplaying Egbuka when they were coming down the stretch. So
Yeah, I mean, I think in that scenario too. I mean, don't forget Chris Godwin. I mean, Chris Godwin has some pretty good games when he started playing again, and I think he was also part of the reason that Igbuka kind of took a hit in that second half of the season.
for
I
sure.
mean, McMillan and Godwin. So I would say both of them decent winners there.
Yeah, sneaky because all the attention is going to be on Egbuka. Another one I put down was Ashton Genty and presumably Fernando Mendoza. The Raiders got a star center in Tyler Linderbaum, so I, you can't lose when you're investing in that offensive line, especially with a rookie quarterback and Ashton Genty who was playing behind paper towels.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you kind of it's good to pay attention to, even if it's not necessarily directly linked to fantasy football. But yeah, man, I mean, he was the biggest free agent for offensive linemen on all, Pro Bowler, all the things, like very, very good player for the Ravens. So, in the same way that we're calling them, a winner, it's a loss for all the people in uh, Baltimore. Why couldn't I think where the Ravens played? It wasn't coming to me. But yeah, man, I mean, that's a huge signing for them, and anything to help Genty so he can get past the line and actually run before he gets hit would be amazing.
Okay, yeah, I guess another maybe sneaky winner might be Ormar and Hampton. They got the Dolphins fullback Alec Ingold.
Yeah,
That feels good. I mean, with the offensive line coming back healthy too, And hey, you can even throw Justin Herbert in that same regard too. But all right, any losers you think happened? I wanted to put together a list, but I didn't have anything kind of thought out here. But I don't know if there was anyone that kind of jumps to mind who didn't really win out of free agency today.
Um, yeah, I mean, it all seemed like the pieces went to where they needed to. Like nobody huge got hit. Like we didn't end up with a Kenneth Walker on the Giants, for example, for to ruin Scadaboo's. Potentially, ETN went to the Saints. So, because if you were thinking Alvin Kamara had another year, maybe that puts a damper on there. But I feel like everybody else kind of just went to positions that in places that made sense. So I'm
Yeah.
not looking at too many losers overall.
I think the biggest one I have is probably Bucky. But then again, too, like Kenneth Gainwell hasn't been much of a factor other than last year. So what if he goes there and he is just a non-factor, and then Bucky again is just out of necessity, thrust into a larger role? Like I could totally see that being a possibility.
Yeah, he feels kind of like more almost like insurance too for the team. They're like, we're losing Rashad White. We need another guy that can
Mm,
catch the ball, but also take snaps if needed if Bucky does get hurt. So yeah, there's a world where it's just Bucky and he's kind of just the for sure backup. But yeah, overall, I don't think there was anybody extremely hurt by these moves. I think we still have the draft, and let's see where some
yeah.
of these guys go. I think that could really blow up some backfields and hurt some receivers. But I think for now, this is all good news fantasy wise, at least.
Yeah. I guess another one could be Trey Benson, but I'll just kind of leave it at that. I mean, that's just a ambiguous backfield, so maybe one to
Yeah.
target when we get to redraft season. All right, man. That was cool. That was fun. Let's get into the outro here. Lots of news today. Hopefully you guys could catch up. If not, hopefully we did some justice in getting you caught up. More to go. And we got another 2 days of tampering, and then we have free agency opening.
Yeah, the tampering, whatever that means. But as always, Future First Gang, thank you for hanging out with us, catching us on Player Profiler Now, wherever you get your podcast, Future First Podcast. Look for us there, Apple, Spotify, the whole thing. If you can, hit us up with a comment, a like, roster review, whatever you got, throw it our ways. We're always looking to interact with you guys. Thanks for writing us with another, our first ever emergency podcast, emergency show here. So it's always a good time.
Peace.